welcome back to another Just 5 Mins. I nearly said 15 mins because I'm doing those YouTube videos as well. Hint, hint. Shameless plugs. Howdy doody do. How the heck are you? Are you having a good week or weekend? Where I am in the UK, we've had a rather stormy weekend, but it's all relative, isn't it? It's not hurricane force winds, that is for sure. Or well, maybe on the west coast it might have been a little bit. But anyway, we're all good. So what have we got today? We've got remote code developing. Is it a thing? I think it might be. Is it worth it? It might be. So this stems from another little suggestion from my good friend Tim Abel. I'll put some links below. But what we have is a couple of contenders. One is GitHub Codespaces. So if you are familiar with GitHub, if you're not, don't worry. I'll point some links to there below. But they provide virtual, really like mini VMs, basically, mini virtual machines. But you can code wherever you are from wherever you are. And you might think, well, what's the point of that? I've got my laptop, I can code on that, and you can. But if you're working in a team, or you might want to share that code environment with your friends, colleagues, or unicorns even, yes, they do code. And then these types of environments are great. They use something like called dev containers, which are from Docker. I did do a couple of episodes of dev containers and why they're good, because again, the great thing with dev containers, even if you use them locally, you've got an environment, a pristine environment, let's call it, with whatever your development environment needs, whether you're developing in Rust, C#, JavaScript, whatever it might be. You've got everything you need just for that container, and it's not picking up anything else off your local machine. So it's all contained, and of course you can also then move that around, upload it straight to the cloud to run it, or just run it locally. It's up to you. But anyway, Codespaces use that type of that dev container type technology. But what they do, they host it in the cloud for you. So you are connecting to Codespaces in technically a mini virtual machine, but they can be quite powerful, by the way. And the good news is they are free, and I've calculated it for just an individual. You've got about 5 solid days. I think it's 180 hours or something, 5 days ish, that you can develop. So if that's during a month. So if you're just an individual, that is probably going to be more than enough, because what happens is when you're not using it, it can save the code, obviously, but it sort of stops running. So it's only going to be running when you're wanting it to run. But the advantage of Codespaces is the fact that your code can still be in a Git repository. You can still, even if you're developing, like, say, a very basic HTML JavaScript app, you can still access it, even though it's running in the cloud. You can actually set up a tunnel, so you've still got local host to be able to run that. Okay, so the idea is, even though it's running in the cloud, you can still access it as if it was natively on your machine. But the other benefit is you can run that Codespace, which is VS Code, by the way, that it generally opens, but you're not limited to that. I just want to make that clear. And the idea is you can run it on, I've got a cheapy Android tablet, like an 11-inch tablet, and I can open that Codespace, and of course it's not running locally. So VS Code is still there, but it's running in the browser. My VM that can be quite powerful is still running up in Codespaces. Okay, so Codespace, great. Like I say, you've got quite a generous free, 5 hours in a month, but realistically, even if you go over that, the costs aren't very expensive. But the contender to that is something called, and go back through a couple of the points in a second, but the other one is an open source product that my friend Tim sent through, called DevPod. And it's essentially Codespaces, but open source, so no vendor locking, so you're not limited to GitHub Codespaces. It's client only, so you don't have to run anything else. You just run, like, it's got a little application on your laptop. And again, you can do everything that you can do with Codespaces pretty much, but you can decide where to create that code space. Technically, you can create it locally as well, but you can pick and choose what platform you want to put this code space on, or DevPod in this case. And the great thing is, it works just like Codespaces. You can open it up in VS Code or any other, pretty much any other editor, and you've got the same flexibility, and it still uses dev containers, so the Docker dev containers. Again, it's got a Kubernetes option as well, but I'm not going to go there right now. The point being is, it's got a very easy way of provisioning where to put that Docker container. Now, obviously, none of these, GitHub Codespaces do give you 5 hours a month free. You probably find a lot of vendors like Google Cloud Compute and AWS, all the rest of them out there. There's probably some free trials or free credits per month, but the only thing is, with DevPod, you do need to host it somewhere on one of those cloud providers. So check out the prices on those. But again, you've got all that code space loveliness you can open up in all manner of different devices, tablets, iPads, you name it. And you can code on the go wherever you are. And again, the other good thing for DevPod and Codespaces is that you can, obviously, you've always been able to share a repository, a code repository like GitHub or whatever it might be that you're using, but you can actually share that containerized code environment as well. So if you've got a friend or a colleague that wants to jump in and help, you can give them either limited share access to that, or permanent longer term, and they can jump in and help. Or you can just get AI to write everything, So, but yeah, so DevPod is really good. I mean, it is open source. It is a nice environment that you don't have to have anything complex on your laptop for sure. So that's what we've got. I'll put some links below. And as always, I hope you're having a good week or weekend, and we will catch you on the next one.